live.
It is?
Yeah.
I've tagged you in the deal there, so everybody can watch it twice today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again. Let me take a gander here real quick because we might just be doing something totally different. But it is episode 223 of Keepin It Rio, the world's greatest podcast. Just showed that I'm live on YouTube, so something good's going on here. And we're going to very quickly take a look and see. It still shows only me. I don't understand.
Well, it will go live later. So I just want to throw out later.
Okay.
If you
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not live
book
today, so I apologize for that. My intent was for that to happen. Just paid an $860 StreamYard bill 2 days ago. So thank you, StreamYard, for everything you do for me. But we're going to recreate the chemistry that we had before we decided that things weren't going right. And now we just know going in that things aren't quite going right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 223 of Keepin It Rio. I did an epic intro earlier, but I'm going to do it again because today, folks, ladies and gentlemen, is Keepin It Rio's 4th birthday. Episode 223 is 4 years to the day from episode number 1, which is why I was trying to go live. And it is live on YouTube, so even though you can't see me right now on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, cool, we appreciate it. But I wanted to give a real quick synopsis over the first 4 years of Keepin It Rio. We did a rundown of some of our previous guests. I'm going to do that again real quick, and then I'm going to introduce today's guest, because we are going to help this man achieve a lifetime goal, an achievement that not many people do. So let me start off with this. Over the last 4 years, we have had a multitude of guests from all over the world, fans. We have had a hardcore closer. We've had a best damn roofer. We've had a sales evangelist, a contractor coach pro. We've had 31 authors, including today, 14 of which have been bestsellers, and we're hoping to make that number 15 here shortly. We've had 2 professional wrestlers, a NASCAR legend, a professional fighter, a stand-up comedian, a news personality, a magician, a mortician, a birthday, and a circus clown. 2 separate clowns, folks. We've had a roof don. We've had multiple marketing experts. We've had a beauty pageant contestant. We've had numerous entrepreneurs and sales experts. And we have reached an audience worldwide, not just here in America, where we're wildly popular with all the people, but also we've had guests as far as England, Australia, Canada, Mexico, and even the tiny island of Vanuatu, the most disaster-prone area in the world. We were able to accomplish a live podcast in a region where 90% of the island doesn't have running water or electricity. So that kind of shows you the power of Keepin It Rio. And today's guest, ladies and gentlemen, is here for his 3rd appearance. Super happy to have my guest back, but we're going to take a quick rundown memory lane before we focus on what we've got to talk about today. So back in August of 2022, August 23rd to be precise, episode 82 of Keepin It Rio featured a young man who was taking over the industry. He was captivating the minds and energy and enthusiasm of everybody. And this was a guy that really came on and caught us by storm, had a wonderful episode back in 2022. And we were then able to bring him back in 2023, at which point my guest today and I did something that's never been done before, probably will never be done again. We did a live episode at 3:00 in the morning, direct from his rooftop of his Minnesota home in the cold of winter, which was a very heroic and amazingly inspirational episode. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're here because our friend, your friend, everybody's friend, has written a book. And we want to not only learn more about it, but we want to help sell some copies. We want to make him a #1 best-selling author. Without any further hesitation, after a 4-minute intro, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to welcome the one and only Tim Brown to the show. Tim, we've gone through some hell already in this episode. I'm happy to have you here. And I don't think that anybody can hang in quite like you. You're a champ. So I appreciate that. Welcome back to Keepin It Rio for episode 3.
Massive pleasure. Thank you for having me on, man. I've been enjoying just kind of, like having a nice day because people are posting about this book and stuff like that. And we sold 207 copies so far, which is actually wild. 207 today. And we're trying to make it like, I think I shot for like 321. So it'd be crazy if we got there because that was kind of I don't know. I just threw it out there. 321. But book is about how to become a hometown hero. It's mainly for home service business owners, but it would be good for any local business. And it's really about the science and psychology of marketing, how to position yourself better and get locally famous. And for me, like the way I've applied this is kind of my local, like if I was hometown hero, it'd be like roofing, right? Like I've used a lot of my marketing skills to create relationships at scale and create a ton of content in roofing. So a lot of the stuff I've learned, I've applied to this book, but we also have 28 home service business owners and leaders and roofing home service business or roofing business leaders. And there's basically like one of those experts on at the end of each of the chapter, which they were all done as audio interviews and then summarized for the book. So essentially like we had an hour or like a 30 to hour conversation. And then we took the best bits and put it into the book. And on the audio version, which is kind of my suggested way to consume the book is the audio version. You'll hear the actual conversation with them. And each of them, I asked them to talk about the specific thing that they're the smartest at. There's a lot of people that are smart, but there's usually one thing that they're really good at. And so I had people on talking about the specific thing that they're really smart at. So for instance, like Martin Pettigrew, I had him on talking about hitting the same customers more times. Like we call it the 5 times rule, but trying to hit the same customers over and over again. Had Joseph Hughes on talking about 5 Mile Famous, why it's easier to get famous in a smaller area. And that's a pretty big theme in the book is kind of creating a smaller area so you can dominate it essentially.
Absolutely. I love that. And I've been working on that myself over the last few years. If my area here in San Antonio ever gets hit with something big, I promise I am 5 Mile Famous because of some of the lessons I've learned from some of these folks. And I want to ask you, Tim, at what point did you decide, okay, I've done amazing things in this industry. I think today you've probably got to be a little bit humbled by the amount of support that you're receiving from everybody here. But you decided, hey, I think that this would be a time for me to venture out to pen a story, a book, a guide to help some of these folks in the industry that may need a little bit of assistance or a little different perspective. At what point in your life did you decide that you were going to write this book, and what kind of brought that about for you?
Yeah, I was just like actually thinking about what the real story was. So I think I was in a marketing meeting with my team, and I've got a video person and then a marketing manager. And my video person just left to go to his dream job. So I'm a new video person starting soon. But I was in the meeting with those two people, and they, I'm realizing like a lot of the day-to-day tasks for even our marketing and stuff like that is kind of taken care of. So I'm just kind of thinking about like, what's the next level thing I could do to kind of increase awareness for our company, but also help contractors, right? Like help people. I think at the end of the day, if you can ideally with money transacting hands, because it's only $1 today, folks, hometownherobook.com. But if you can get somebody to buy something from you, even $1, but you could get them an inordinate amount of value, the inordinate amount of value on this, if you buy the $1 book, on the inside cover, Amazon doesn't want you to know this, but on the inside cover, there's a QR code it's a digital copy, but there's a QR code for the audiobook. So you'll be able to, once it's officially live August 1, but there will be a audiobook, basically QR code inside of that digital copy. So you kind of get the audiobook for cheap. But the idea is like, how can we give people a ridiculous amount of value even before they actually like really work with us? Because if basically I'm of the mind that if I could help somebody make money Like if something I said actually helps somebody make money before they work with us. Have you ever done that? Like you like somebody like made you money. Like I was just talking to a guy yesterday. His name's Jay Golden. I had him on my podcast and he was talking about like I've been using his framework. It's the retellable story spine. It's his book is called Retellable. And I've been using it for everything. I've been using it for social posts. It increased memory and like basically telling stories, the ability to tell good stories. I've been using it for everything. So then when we got done with my podcast, he's like, I also do coaching. I'm like, yeah, dude, sign me up. I need this. Because I've already been using his stuff. So at the end of the day, that's kind of what I'm shooting for. I'm shooting to give away so much value that people are using my stuff that they're more likely want to work with us. And so what I try to do is give away so ridiculous amounts of value as much as I possibly could in this book, and work with other people to put stuff value into this book because there's 28 people in there to stuff value in, and then people will potentially want to work with us. That's really the strategy here. But yeah, that's how it came about. I was basically realized a lot of the marketing stuff that I had been doing. It's kind of like as we grow a business, losing my job over and over and over again because I keep on giving it to other people. So that's a weird part about being an entrepreneur is like you end up giving away this job and giving away that job. And then it's weird because later, like you're like, what is my job?
That's a very true statement right there. And it's something I've experienced myself. And you continue to grow and build and develop. And I love the thought process behind it. I love the fact that you're giving so much back. And that's something I've always known about you. You're a very giving individual. I like to tell a quick story, if I may, that has nothing to do with this book, but
Sure.
this is a Tim Brown appreciation story. A couple years ago, I post something on Facebook and I was just asking a simple question about microphones. What's a good microphone to use in the field to make video content? And folks, a couple days later, I get a package in the mail and Tim had sent me a microphone. This guy gives value more than anybody I know. I've been on a lot of videos that we've done together at events that have surprisingly gone incredibly viral. And because of that, I've had people that have reached out to me and said, "Hey, I saw that video you made," and it's all because of you. And you've been so giving and so willing to help as many people as you can. I think it's so awesome to see the support that you're getting from our industry, from people at the highest levels of this industry that appreciate what you do, the person that you are, and what you give. Because I don't know that you get that kind of appreciation all the time, and I think every once in a blue moon, it's great to get that kind of recommendation from so many people saying, hey, this is a legit guy. He's not out there to take advantage. He's not out there to scam. He is the real deal. And, you know, like I said, you've done a 3 a.m. podcast on your roof. That is something that the industry needed, even though we didn't know it at the time. I had a feeling that it was going to be an earth-shattering event, and it certainly was. So that's pretty awesome. You get into the deal now where you've got the concept. You want to continue to give back to the industry. You want to help as many as you can in hopes that they see this and say, man, that dude, he knows his stuff. And you come with the idea that you're going to get different contributors to your book. I think this is a great concept, and I've really never seen one that had this many different contributors. So let's talk a little bit about that dynamic. You sat down with folks, you had conversations, and you pulled clips from each of the conversations, put it together. Tell me a little bit about the process of getting these folks together, the amount of time that you've been working on this, and the process behind getting that all put together into the book with each high-level professional giving their input and their insights to your story. How in the world did you make this happen?
Well, so my strategy was I've also put these out on podcasts. So this was a double dipping scenario. And then on each of them, I did an intro for the audiobook and an intro for the podcast so that in the final edit, it comes together seamlessly and cleanly. It just came up with like a list, right? What are the topics I want to cover? And then who's the person that's the best I know at that thing, right? So I just hunt, like I like you, I've gotten to like have all these conversations with podcasting is dope. If people don't know, it's like you get to have all these conversations. It's like free consulting half the time. There's like a lot of like real good information you get that changes your life. It's a super positive experience. And so I just kind of brought back, it's like I brought back a lot of people that just knew something really well, or like changed my thinking or thought process on something. And then in some cases, just a few like crazy ones. Like one of my favorite author, not my favorite, one of my favorite authors, Marcus Sheridan, who wrote They Ask You Answer, which is a really good marketing book, wrote the foreword. And then I took bigger shots, like John Cenac is on there, and Tommy Mello, and like Roger Wakefield, a couple, like basically like some big dudes. Roger Wakefield is like one of the biggest trades YouTubers out there. He's a plumber, and he's Texas Green Plumbing was his company. And
Nice.
he has like more views than Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs, and he's like huge. But so I just basically, I found this like sampler platter of the best people that for each topic, somebody that knows this topic in and out. And then I got him into the podcast, and then I introed it both ways. And then as I pulled it down into the full book, I basically used Claude, which is an AI, to condense their conversation and bring the best stuff, and then also match the tone of the book. And then I had an editor. I obviously wrote my part for each of these chapters, and then I pulled their conversation in. I think most of the chapters I wrote my part first, and then I had the expert part. And then I had an editor kind of rip it to shreds. Really, that's an interesting part of reading a book or writing a book. Is one, she chopped half of my intro, which was long. It was too long, so she chopped half of it, and it was boring. And then two, she told me the whole last chapter was shit.
Nice.
And it was bad. And I had to go deeper. So I actually, like, my mom's story really kind of end caps the whole book, which my mom passed away this past year. And when I was growing up, she cleaned houses. So I would always be at other people's houses when I was growing up. Like watching like Woody Woodpecker, and like kind of in these really nice houses though, like, right? Like I'm like in these houses are way nicer than our house growing up, and like looking back from these big windows. But it was also like she's cleaning, but it's a home service too. So like I relates. My mom, sorry to go off on this tangent, but it ended up being like kind of the pillar of the book a little bit, is my mom. People didn't react to her just like a service provider. My mom, she cleaned houses, and that could be a very humble job. She did that. There was a step up for her because before that, she was doing overnights at like a Perkins. So it was like, she was, and her boss was weird and stuff. So she was like,
at Perkins,
four
you're
boys.
kidding.
Yeah. She had 4 boys, and she was doing these overnights at Perkins. Imagine that, like how humbling and all that would be. And then it was a step up for her to clean houses. And then she prayed all day, basically. So like it was this, I think what I'm really getting at in that is like the idea that service can be, and I'm not just saying like spiritual. For her, it was spiritual, but service can be a higher calling. Like for her, it was like paired with this idea that like what she was doing mattered. That's all I'm really trying to get at in the book too, is like an identity shift for people, is like what you're doing matters, and it's powerful. And like, if you take this mindset of like conscious service, and not like what we're doing is so lowly. Some contractors don't feel like, they don't feel the respect from homeowners. I know people that will, I always feel this particularly from plumbers, for instance, like people going into their homes and they kind of treat them like shit. They kind of, you know what I mean? Like there's an element of like, if you take it, like my mom was cleaning toilets. and she was praying for this home, and she felt like what she was doing was extremely important, you know. No matter what, that's a better way to live than just cleaning toilets. So you got we got two options in life. I'm doing work and sometimes getting shit on as a marketing provider. People are roofing. You could fall off a roof, dude. There's fucking people dying and getting hurt. It's a real, it's humbling. It's also dangerous, and there's all this stuff. But can we take it as like, this matters? What we're doing matters. I'm not saying you have to pray over the house that you're at, but like, how could you go in like, I'm going to try to help these people in their lives today, not just get them a new roof. And I think that greater sense of purpose makes work more fun.
I could not agree with you more. And I think that that's been the biggest thing for me over the course of my career is I do appreciate it. The older I get, the longer tenure my career goes, I realize that it is now more about changing people's lives and helping them for the better. I helped a family last week with a house over here in San Antonio, and I'll give a real quick story example. They called me last year and they had a siding issue. The siding had rotted on the side of the house. They needed someone to come out and take care of it. So we went out there, we took care of it. And the reality is I was working with a sub that I quoted the job with this sub. And then I came to realize I don't really like this guy. And if you're watching this, don't really like you, man. We haven't worked since, but I had another guy that I really appreciated because his mindset was exactly what you said. A humble man who'd been doing it for a long time. He wanted to provide a better life for his kids, and his quality of work really just displayed the fact that it wasn't just a, oh man, I got to go to work and replace siding type mentality. It was more, I get to go and I get to help these people. So we did this job. It was absolutely flawless. About a month ago, they called me up and said, hey, our roof is leaking. I told them at the time that there was probably, maybe about a year or so, but they need to start kind of planning for it. And we did the roof for them. We went in, we had to completely tear all the decking off because it had completely delaminated. It was old. The plywood just wasn't going to hold a new roof. We put a brand new roof system on. We took care of them. Everything is absolutely beautiful. And at the end, they both just looked at me and said, you know what? We're extremely grateful. We didn't ask anybody else to give us a quote. We weren't worried about that because we know it's not about that with you. We know that it's about helping people, a young family that needed some help. I wasn't the cheapest option. And I told him that. I said, you could probably have found someone to do it for less, but it was never about that. And they said, you know what? We respect you because you care. We see that you care. We appreciate the fact that you are willing to help us. You pushed us ahead of a couple people to get the job done before the next rain. And to me, that is what this is all about at this stage of my life. I'm selective with the people that I do work with now. And if I get that vibe off someone that, you're just a damn roofer, whatever, you're a dime a dozen, you're a commodity, which we do get. Everybody in our industry probably feels that at some point in time. I've been yelled at by some of the absolute lowest people, low class losers in the world. And they've called me a loser and a piece of crap. And it's just part of that brand identity, I guess, with what we do. But I think that the people who really look at it as a way to serve, a way to contribute to humanity in the best way that we can. I mean, I'm never going to be a brain surgeon. I'm never going to be an attorney or anything like that. I'm a roofer and I love helping people. And that's the whole purpose behind it.
I told this story in the book about being in the office when a roofer client was getting yelled at by a homeowner, and he was on the phone, and it was like, he got a deposit, and he was a little ways out or whatever. And he was like screaming through the phone. And I think it was just fear. Because in that case, like, he thought this roofer might be scamming him, which obviously, like, we deal with that in this industry. There's some people that do stuff that's off, right? Like, really off.
Sadly.
And so I remember that experience, and he was so chill about it. This is my client, Josh Swisher, and he was so chill about it. And he was just like, yes, like, if that's what you need right now, we absolutely can get that returned to you. It's just, obviously, we generally have people save their place with the deposit, and that's a big deal for us. But he's like, we'll get it back to you. Don't worry about it. And he's like, basically, like, that homeowner, like it was like, I just heard it like tinny yelling through the phone, and then it switched to just like, oh, okay, relief, right? Relief that this isn't a scammer, and that that Josh was like willing to do the right thing. Like, even if it was like meant just making him feel comfortable right now in this moment. But I kind of got the sense that in that situation, one, that roofers deal with a lot of crap that I could never handle. I certainly I wouldn't want to deal with that. Like homeowners, like I get to work with business owners. They're usually a little higher level, whatever. But your average homeowner, there's a lot of different kinds of people, right? Like it doesn't, just because you own a home doesn't mean you're like dealing professionally in the same way that like I get to deal with business owners. So I don't know if I could handle it, but I also just got the sense that like, it's all the positioning matters, right? Like me being involved with the roofing industry matters so that I can understand the dynamics of what goes on. And so I can market better and be a better partner and be a repository for good information for the industry, because essentially we just like collect and disperse good information from the best roofers around the country. Like we're just valuable because you've pushed value into us. Like this whole team is 32 people, right? And the same goes for roofers in their respective markets, that their positioning gets better when they're more involved in the community. So they have more prospects that trust them and don't do that weird stuff that guy did, because they have better positioning where it's like somebody's not scared they're going to run off with their deposit. So that's why you want to become a hometown hero in your area. That's why you want to be locally famous. That's why you want to create this sense of community so that people don't get scared and like ask for the deposit back. We want better positioning, and trust makes everything better. Trust makes everything better. If you get their trust in the sales process, but also in marketing, dude, like if we can get more trust, because like I have this marketing manager. This might seem like an offshoot, but I think it's going to tie back. I've got this marketing manager now. I was doing so many things that I was forgetting to do some basics because I'm a CEO too right now. And so, I've got lots of excuses, right? But like, for instance, I was the one that's supposed to post the reviews that we get. We got over 150 5-star reviews, which is kind of unheard of for a marketing agency. But I was supposed to post them every week, because that's good to post them on social every week, because then people see them, they're reinforced in this idea that like you really care about doing things the right way, because that's what the reviews say. And so even that simple strategy of just posting your reviews, even if it's just screenshots, but like you can design it and make it look nice and all that, but Canva makes that easy nowadays. But the point is like her just consistently doing that has been, I think, positive for us, and like getting consistent on doing the things to do in marketing so that you are more trusted, because then people come to see you on social, or they click into your links and they see that you have this social proof. I think that's another big theme of the book, is like cultivating and re-promoting social proof about your company, because doing that regularly just makes this process with prospects easier. I think of marketing as like sales support a lot of times.
Yeah. And with that mindset, you're trying to develop yourself as a trusted consultant in your market. You want to condense it down because, like Tim said, I live in San Antonio, 7th largest city in the United States. I don't want everybody in San Antonio to jump on me because I couldn't do it. But I've condensed it down to about a 5-mile radius, like I learned. And one of the things that I've been doing for the last several years is I do video content. I post a lot of stuff. And there have been many cases where I show up to a job site and the homeowner will say something like, I have radiant barrier decking and I have neoprene pipe boots. And I learned those from watching your videos. And I realized these are videos I made 2 or 3 years ago. And these people have been following along the entire process. And they're like, we've seen you. You show up. You're constantly doing this. You're always in a good mood. You're posting videos of the quality work you're doing. You're taking your roofing crews out to lunch. You're doing all these cool things. And I think that perception continues to grow with each post that you do. And for me, it's always been a matter of just doing it. And I know a lot of people that would be great at content, that would be great at putting stuff out, but they don't want to go on camera. They don't want to take the time to do it. And I think that is a huge advantage, that when you decide upon yourself to just do it, that it can explode and it can become huge for you. So I love that mentality of just, earning the trust. It takes time. You can't just come into a new market and say, hey, I'm the best, everybody should use me, and expect for that to happen. So I love that concept. I love the fact that you've had so many people kind of reinforce that in the book. And I think that that's the main cornerstone for successful marketing and therefore successful business. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. So a lot of people are hiding. A lot of people are hiding, and they're scared to let out their light. Can't be a lighthouse in a basement. And when you let that light out and be real, even imperfect, you get more trust from people, because I cannot trust you if you're hiding.
I agree with that. And I also like the imperfect. I can't trust you 100% if nobody has ever had an issue with you, because I know that nobody's perfect. And sometimes that can come across as a little bit fake when, I have 600 5-star reviews and not a single negative thing, because everybody makes mistakes. And to me, some of the best content that I've ever made are things that we've had to go back and fix, or situations where it just hasn't gone perfect, but we've adapted and overcome. We've put it out there for people so that they know, look, even if this guy's not perfect, which he does a great job most of the time, if something happens, number one, he's not going to leave. He's not going to bail on us and leave us in a lurch. And number two, he's going to do whatever it takes to get that problem solved as quickly and effectively as he can. And I don't have to worry that, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to put this guy on the news because he screwed me over. And I think that's a great way of going about doing life in general, as well as business. And, I've never trusted anyone that was perfect. I've known like 6 of them in my life, and they've all ended up not being perfect. So I think that's a great mindset to have.
And I don't know if we have time for this, but because I do have to get out of here pretty soon to grab lunch.
Okay.
But I want to throw in one more thing related to that, and it's kind of like a vulnerable story a little bit, because I've been living in fear of getting my first real 1-star review. I've gotten a few from like competitors or something, people we've never worked with, right? Real ones though, like been in fear of that. And
it's always fun.
I still haven't gotten a real one, but I did get a real 2-star review, which was maybe that was like a backhanded way to, whatever. But they were like, this, great salesmanship or something. They're good at websites, but the SEO was trash or something, like, and went on much longer than that. And we have like, so many 160 plus 5-star reviews, but that one obviously I thought about for longer than any other one. And this was last fall, and I was kind of going through some other stuff at the time, but I remember trying to call the person over and over again. I don't know, like not to like do anything weird, but just to be like, is there anything we can do? Because that's our mindset, is like, if something goes wrong, like, is there anything we can do? And I ended up commenting back, like in detail what happened. They had $176 cost per lead, which is really good. So I gave all the specific details of what everything that was going on. I mean, most people would kill for a lot of, at this point in Google, a lot of people would kill for $176 cost per lead, but there was things that were imperfect. There was things that weren't correct. SEO was very slow for them, slower than I think it should have been, maybe. And like, I was willing to do some kind of reimbursement or something like that. I did a lot of soul searching, right, when that came in, and I was just frustrated with it. But I did give all the detail. But what was interesting is because I was like, dude, what if that crushes our business? Like, I don't know. For some reason, as a small business owner, you're like, if I get a 1-star review, I will never get any business again. Like, that's
a genuine feeling, and you feel it deep in your soul. I know.
And I kind of like had this experience, was like, this might be the ruin of me. Like this, we've had 160 positive ones, but this negative one, like, this might ruin us, dude. We're done in the roofing industry, right? And then for some reason, the next quarter, right after that, we had the biggest quarter that we'd ever had. And then I think part of it, and I'm sure some people sorted by negative and looked at this review that became customers, but I think part of it is answering the real, like what really happened. What really happened and taking some responsibility and like trying to, no matter what, taking some responsibility. And I really did try to talk to this person over and over again and make it right, which we will always try to do because there's just no perfect marketing agency. And it's frustrating. And I know that, but we are the kind of company. I think you probably feel the same way. It's like, we will do whatever we can to try to make it right. Now, we don't want people taking advantage of us, but we will do whatever we can to try to make it right. And then we had the best quarter after that. And then we had the best quarter after that. So 3 quarters in a row since that review. And I don't think that it's completely unrelated. I do think that this mindset, like even in that moment, and last year was bad for us for whatever reason. I think because it was election year, I think it was a little rough for a lot of people because everyone was holding on to their money and stuff like that. I remember thinking, I don't know if we can market and sell our way out of this lull, but I know that in this lull, we better make our services better. Like that was my mindset. Cause I was like, I was also grieving. So I was like, I can't sit here and like, I can't pretend that I'm happy all the time and marketing and stuff like that. So I just is like, we got to make the services better. And I think that that's showing up now. But anyways, just that story of like imperfection and getting your butt handed to you, getting bonked as I would say to my daughter, getting bonked a little bit, and then you get up and you get back and you say no biggie, and you pick your head up. I'm talking in child now because that's what I think about a lot. But
that's where we are. So I definitely respect your time. We had a technical difficulty, but I do have one other thing I want to talk about before we bid adieu today. Tim, I was reading your Facebook the other day, and you mentioned about dreaming big and having big goals and thinking big. And something came up the other day that really kind of made me smile because I know you and I've gotten to know you over the course of time. And I know you're a genuine person. Your goal, your aspiration was to speak in front of a large crowd. And you've been given an invitation to do so this year. So tell us a little bit about it. And then we'll kind of promo the book and then we'll go grab some lunch. But tell me a little bit about this invitation that you've gotten and how people are going to be able to see you. And I can't wait for this opportunity. I'm actually going to go to the event 100% because of you. So tell us about it.
Thank you. I said I want to speak in front of 500 people. I actually felt like I was having a vision. I don't have a lot of these. I'm not like some guy that's having visions all the time, but I was like having a vision of speaking in front of 500 people and essentially making an emotional impact on their lives and like inviting people to be their best selves and kind of do something like that actually was super positive for their lives and put it out there. First, put it out there, right? Like when you have a big idea, like put it out there. In this case, Hunter Ballou from RoofCon saw the post and said, yeah, dude, let's have you speak at RoofCon. So like taking bigger shots is like the idea that like, what could you do today? Like that you've been holding back, but you're like, why don't I just take a bigger shot? One of the things for me is like having bigger guests on my podcast. I'm like, and I don't always hit, right? I don't always hit, but I do take wild shots. I try to have Gary Vee on. I'm trying to have like Grant Cardone on. I'm trying to have all these people on because I'm just going to take the shots and I'm going to take them more than once. And I'm going to like, for instance, I wanted to have Dan Martell on, who's one of my favorite authors, Buy Back Your Time. Really, really good YouTuber too. And I messaged him and I'm like, hey, want to have you on? And he said no, whatever. His executive assistant said no or something. I'm like, just so you know, I'm gonna be back over and over again trying to get you on. And because I've realized it's not just like the taking bigger shots, it's the taking bigger shots and then being consistent and then like continuing to push towards those bigger shots, taking bigger shots and pushing and being patient and staying in one direction for a long time. Like that's the thing that a lot of people get wrong is they keep pivoting. So like if you could stay in the same direction, that's where the magic happens and people honor that. And then people know where you're going to. And usually people want to root for you. You know what I mean? Like people want to root for you. People are not waiting to see you fail. They want you to win. They want you to win. And maybe they'll conspire. I like to imagine people conspiring to see how they can help me win. This is like a positive thinking thing too, but I'm also like, people are just waiting in the wings, trying to figure out how they can give me money.
I think there's some truth to that. And I think that
Yeah,
mindset is what separates the winners from the losers. And I think if you're sitting two people in the same room and one thinks that the world's out to get them and the other thinks the world's out to help them, the guy that thinks the world's out to help him is going to ultimately have better results. And the podcast is a great example. I've reached out to people that I never in my wildest dreams would have thought I could have ever had on a podcast. And a couple of times I've had to go, are you sure? Come on, let's do it. It's Keepin It Rio. We're going to take Joe Rogan's spot, but I need your help. And I've gotten a lot of the guests that I've wanted on my show. I still need Ed Milet. And, that's coming at some point. I know some people that know Ed Milet, going to put me in contact. And I actually talked to him a couple years ago live. And I told him, once my podcast hits 500 episodes, I'm coming back and you're going to be a guest. So Ed Milet did kind of informally agree to that. I'm going to hold him to it in about 274 more episodes. So I think that mindset is great.
Presumptive, yes, awesome. Too, you know what I mean? Once you get there, give them of course you're going to be on, you know what I mean? Like that's something we're learning in sales. We just had Dan Walrack come train our people. He's an 18.5 million in 1 year sales guy. Few years ago,
awesome.
But he's super brilliant. He trained our people, but it was like the presumptive yes. Instead of like when we like if we want to get the kickoff scheduled, to be like, when should we get the kickoff scheduled? The presumptive language thing, and he does that really, really well. And you'll see him going to, because I went and shadowed him a couple times, and one of the times it was like everything was just like, of course we're doing business together. Of course we're doing business together. What else can we do? You know what I mean? Of course we're doing business together. Could I get a review? Who are your neighbors? You know what I mean? Like once you kind of go with the presumptive language, you start to like get to the next step, which is like, obviously we all don't just want customers. We want customers that spread the good word. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you can, like, I'm trying to get that in me too, but I love that message from Dan that he shared with our salespeople. And I will say our salespeople are very talented and students of the craft, and we role play every week.
Absolutely. That's how you get better. You learn from the best and you continue to sharpen your skills. You can't help but learn something along the way and improve upon those things and ultimately become the best in your field. So, Tim, we had some technical difficulties. We lost a half hour of our life there. Again, shout out to StreamYard. I don't know, but you guys raised the price tremendously. And first time I come back after my subscription, you screw me. But the topic of today was a lot of different things. It's Keepin It Rio's birthday. I'm happy for that. Yeah. But we want to teach you folks how to improve your home service businesses. We've got a great book with 28 different contributors, highest level people in the world. And the author of that book is on the show today. Tim, before we say goodbye and bid each other adieu until the next episode that we're on together, tell us once again how our people today can get a copy of the book for $1 today only. If you wait until tomorrow, I don't know what the price is going to be, but there's no more motivation than to do it today. Tell us what the best way to go about making that happen is.
$1. And when you get the book, there'll be on the inside cover, it's a digital copy, but there'll be a QR code to grab the audio book. So it is actually really ridiculously good deal. And it's I put a lot of effort into the book. I spent a lot of time. My wife's sick of me not being in bed at 9:30 or whenever. We're old. We're going to bed. Not being in bed because I'm working on this book. So we've spent a lot of time on it, and I'm very grateful to anyone that spends a few minutes and $1 to go out on Amazon and grab this pre-release copy, because we're trying to get on the bestsellers list. And then the full copy, the print version, August 1, and the audible version will be out August 1 as well. But would love it if you'd go grab the pre-release today. And if you're like a homie, if you've been down and around, and we've been killing at this roofing industry for a while. Like we're running together. If you feel like posting about it, that would be absolutely sick. And thank you for all the support. Like I said, I feel like the roofing industry is my hometown, so to speak, and I believe in roofing, and I hope that positive transformation for your life and some of the ideas in this book, because it's about, I think, transforming our identity to have more meaning in our work. And I do think people feel that. Customers feel that. And like I said, like with my mom, when people that she used to clean their house came to her funeral. I mean, that's a different level, right? That's like a roofing customer coming to your like, it's crazy. That's crazy. That's how they knew her, and they loved her deeply because of her service. And I'm not saying you got to, like I said, pray over every house you're at or whatever, because I'm not that religious or anything like that. But I think that this idea of a little bit more deep meaning in our work is not gonna be bad for our lives. And that's what I'm trying to get, is a little bit deeper meaning and have more fun at work. And so killing it at marketing is fun. And I think if you read this book, you're going to have more fun in your marketing.
You're definitely going to have more fun. And I will say this, I've got a little row here of some of my friends in the industry. I've got Eric Obranth and I've got Hunter Ballou. I actually loaned out my Adam Bensman book a couple weeks ago that belongs on that shelf. I've got a spot cleared out for your book. When the physical copy comes out, I'm going to get one. It will forever be on the set of Keepin It Rio, because you, sir, have been a huge part of my fun times in this industry. You and I have had a lot of fun together. I appreciate you. I consider you to be one of my best friends in this game, and I know a lot of people feel that way about you. So if you're watching this, go get the book today. You will not regret it. And Tim, thank you for taking the time. Happy birthday to Keepin It Rio. Yeah. Final words?
Oh, I was just going to say hometownherobook.com and how to become a hometown hero on Amazon. So if you're looking how to buy it, hometownherobook.com.
And I did have a link there, but again, StreamYard kind of messed my deal up, but that's okay. We're going to get that copy out there to you. You guys are going to love the book. I appreciate everybody that watches for the last 4 years of Keepin It Rio. Thank you all for your support. Thank you to my sponsor, roofer.com. I will play a little ad for them to play us out today, but Tim, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for having the patience. It's a huge day. You could have been anywhere, and you spent some of your time here with me. So I appreciate that, my man. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
Happy 4 year, brother.
Thank you. Here's to another 4. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week. Play out my ad for roofer.com. And thank you all for all your support. Peace.
We're Roofer. We know that managing a roofing business can be chaotic, so we created a single platform with all the tools you need to easily run your roofing business. Stop switching between multiple different softwares and experience streamlined operations from lead to payments in hours instead of days. Visit roofr.com to get started for free today.